Ultimate chapter, man. We are literally this close to the finish line. And, oh, man, I've been dreading this one coming up because we've got Furious 7, which is, of course, better known as the ode to Paul Walker's time in this franchise. Chris, do you have anything to say before we get started with this?
Man, I mean, Brian's like an incredible character, and it's so unfortunate what happened to him, obviously, and it's still so sad to see someone gone so soon. So I'm just, I'm not even sure if he's going to be in this one, but man,
He's in this one.
Okay, well then I
He's in
can't
this
wait
one.
to see his performance, man.
Yeah. All I know is that this movie, I will say, might not be the strongest, but its ending is, I feel like, infected a million souls, is all that I will say. We've got the first time watch along for Furious 7 going on tonight. Stay tuned. Number 7, and I just wanted to talk to you for a second. I wanted to gauge where your headspace was, right? I feel like it's been a little bit of time since we recorded the last one, right? We're clearly in this new phase of the franchise, and now you see that we're getting into this one entry where another big shakeup is coming, one that was rather unexpected due to an extremely tragic real-life circumstance, you know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, what do you mean it's been a little bit of time? These have been coming out once a week.
Oh, of course, I have no idea what you're talking about.
But no, I mean, all I've heard is, and obviously just being a human being, just because I didn't watch these series, this movie series when they were coming out, I did unfortunately hear about the passing of one Paul Walker. And, I've heard it gets bumpy after he's gone. You just told me a few minutes ago he's actually in this one. See, I was under the impression it happened during the film process of this movie, and then they kind of cut him out because they couldn't finish his arc.
Nope.
I wasn't sure what happened here. So...
so you don't know. So you have no idea of how they did it for this movie.
None.
Oh man,
I had no idea about anything going into this entire watch series.
I'll save that for the commentary then. I'll save that for the commentary once we actually start that, because it's honestly impressive what they're able to do. So fun fact, before we get in, this movie was directed by James Wan. This featured the departure of Justin Lin from the franchise. James Wan, obviously famous for the first Saw, the Insidious, and the Conjuring movies. Obviously, there's actually another Conjuring sequel, even though he has not been attached to that franchise in a while, coming out actually around the time of this release. And yeah, it's definitely interesting how, while he definitely doesn't seem to be able to make his biggest, I'll say artistic, for lack of a better word, contribution to this entry, it's impressive what he is able to pull off given the circumstances that he had to work with.
Okay, well, I can't wait to see it, man. I mean, like I've said, guys, and if this is your first video of our series you're watching, hey, welcome. Glad to have you, but please go back and watch the other 6 movies, because I was someone who came into this really dreading this experience, and... hey, man, I've been loving every single second of it.
Oh, yeah.
I have to only say good things about the majority overall. Sure, there's some dull spots, but it's been a great ride so far.
Absolutely. And the ride is still going. Obviously, we're this close. We are almost at the point on the racetrack or on the race where we can see the finish line. We've got one more movie after this one before we give you guys our review on the long-awaited F9. The only thing that I have left to say is that this movie was the first movie to hit $1 billion in 2015. Damn. Let's get this started.
Smarter. Oh my God, there's people in the background.
Just wait.
Yeah, okay, you don't have the gun on you, dude. They could pick it up and shoot you. Oh my God, all right, so this guy's a fucking psychopath then. Solid, honestly.
Bro, solid transition.
Yeah.
Solid transition. I feel like he's just like, this is the point where he just understood, okay, I am no longer Vin Diesel. I am Dominic Toretto, and that is just my personality in real life. It's good to see some things don't change.
Yeah, Fast and Furious. There's 2 things you're always going to get in the first 5 minutes. Product placement and girls.
Oh, man. This soundtrack is popping so far. It still must be jarring given the fact that this is like a different girl. Oh, my God. Wow, that kind of dates this. Iggy Azalea. Oh, a large portion of, obviously, his footage had to be reshot. Obviously, given the fact, because the crazy thing about it is that he died halfway through production. He's still sweating even when he's sitting down.
That finger 6 different ways and stick it right where the sun doesn't shine.
As far as the third bald entrant into this franchise, like Statham obviously can hold his own.
What?
Oh.
No way.
Yup.
No way. Yep. It's too well shot for the corny
right?
conversations they're having. Yeah, okay.
Enough to not do any damage to the neighboring houses.
Yeah, and it somehow only shoots backwards to destroy a whole house.
Right.
It doesn't go forward to hurt them.
Which is why when I get out, I'm gonna put a hurt on him so bad he's gonna wish his mama had kept her legs closed.
Wow. They went there. For sure.
Very well shot. This is the most well-shot movie of the entire series so far.
And the widow's peak on this 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, they got Kurt Russell for these movies.
Badass. It's still cool, but we're in silly territory.
You know, when I was reading your files, I was impressed with what you've accomplished with your team, but meeting them now, I gotta say, you've truly got a gift.
That's the best part. Is I don't even know whether
awesome.
if he means that ironically or unironically, but either way it works.
I think he's saying you work with nothing and you make magic
it's
happen.
perfect.
So cars can fly. Okay. Yeah, you really got to punch it in reverse to just properly fall
Right?
out the back of the hangar.
How much wind resistance he should be getting? Bulletproof glass. Dude, I love how they said keep Brian safe and they're having him do all the dangerous stunts.
Yeah, it's amazing. Let's for some reason fight dangerously close to the outside portion of the bus.
Just
Oh
wait.
my god.
Just wait.
These people are superheroes. Oh. Okay, wow.
Bro.
Okay, wow.
What?
Great shot, honestly.
Just the blatant car commercial that happens in the middle of the movie.
Around this
with
timing.
the sound effects behind these cars being introduced.
Nothing's sadder than locking a beast in a cage.
That is a Dominic Toretto line of
Yo, what? What?
Okay.
He's literally Superman. Assume fighting pose. Fight. I'm pretty
No
sure we've
way.
already proven this.
This is too much.
Wait for it. Oh, bro.
Get out of
Oh my
here.
God.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're going to go for the twofer.
Bro, I can't. I can't.
Till the host start. You jump it between two buildings.
And it's like, actually, it was 3 buildings.
Right?
Actually, it was 3 buildings.
Oh, man. They referenced the tuna. They referenced the tuna. Oh, God, not again. I'm pretty sure that was a Doritos commercial, wasn't that? This is some Star Wars shit
This
right here.
is ridiculous.
Yo, Deuce X Rock right there.
What are the odds?
Oh, yeah, this is...
No
What?
way. What? He's that powerful that he can stomp in the ground. Just
He's that powerful. Bro.
I love how the minigun's on a cable, which means it has a length, and he's just walked like 8 blocks.
Bro, what? Well, okay, no.
I can't wait
no.
for F10 where Vin Diesel's about to get eaten
Wait,
by a
wait, just wait.
velociraptor and he just rips its fucking jaw off its head.
You'll always be with me. And you'll always be my brother.
I gotta say, so I saw that movie 3 times. 3 times in theaters when it came out. But it took me until the 3rd time that I watched it before I bawled my eyes out at that ending. Like, Jesus, I don't even know where to go from there. Like, oh man. Well, I mean, I guess first off, like, did they nail the ending? Did they nail it?
Yeah, I think they did.
Bro.
It's a tough situation,
I'm
and
tearing up right now.
I think that's the best way to honor him
Yeah, I
that you
agree.
can do. You
I
know,
agree.
without sort of like being disrespectful, and that was it sucks, but I think
Yeah.
they did it right.
They did it in the best way possible. They did it where not only just like with the ending, but like with how they restructured his entire arc. Like it's so this is what I was waiting for, like the entirety of the commentary in order to tell you, is that so he died like right with it. So this movie was originally supposed to come out in like April of 2014. It was supposed to come out a year earlier than it did. It ended up coming out in April of 2015 after the delay in the release structure. Because he died. They were shooting it. They started shooting like right after the 6 movies released in May. They started shooting it like that summer. And he died like that November. They'd only shot like, I think a majority of like the big B-roll, like the big major footage that they got for the action sequences. So what they did was they brought in both of his brothers, Caleb and Cody, and a whole variety of different stunt doubles. And they used Peter Jackson and Andy Serkis' CG factory Weta to CG his face onto his brothers for all the B-roll. That's why you see like a little bit of a haze in like those early sequences. And it still is flawless, honestly, because like I'm not distracted at all. I mean, I'm to the point now where I can like differentiate. I'm like, okay, that's Paul Walker, that's one of his brothers, but like it's honestly flawless. And then for them to put the cherry on top of friggin' like to have this absolutely beautiful montage that is both like a tribute to his time in the franchise, but also like his time as an actor. Like, you know, it really was, I feel like, the best way to send him off, you know, because the whole thing, right, is everyone is going into this. They're like, okay, they're dropping way too many hits. They got to kill Brian, right? That's the only way they can keep this franchise going, right? And I think this is the first time where like they haven't had to do that, right? And they actually send him off at like, again, like as far as just the tribute goes, that was beautiful as well. But like just as far as like wrapping up the character arc, like they really, really made it work.
Yeah, I think to kill him off is it's not respectful, and I think that, you know, they did this in such a way where they preserved his legacy so perfectly in what he gave to the franchise, and how he put this, really he put the franchise on his back. I mean, Vin Diesel literally walked away for it from a film and didn't come back for 2.5, 2 films later, pretty much. He's in the end of Tokyo Drift for a second when they finally, get him back on board. Paul literally carried this thing in like its darkest time, and I think this is the perfect way to honor him. And you know what's crazy? You really couldn't tell. Like, they did such a good job, and I think it's such a tough situation when you hear about how these film sets become families, and obviously with these actors, especially their chemistry being such like an art form of give and take, it had to be tough for them, and so for them to like be able to knock this thing out of the park with the circumstances the way they did, it truly is for Paul. I mean, honestly, like, it's one of the most selfless things I would say I've ever seen Hollywood do.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
It's honestly spectacular as far as that goes. And now, the one thing I will say is that as fantastic as the tribute was to Paul, as far as how the movie itself goes, I will say that the tribute elevates it a lot.
Right.
And I will say, no. Here's the thing, right? Here's the one thing I will say. I think this is probably the only instance in which I'm willing to forgive a lot of the stupid elements. And there were a lot of stupid elements. Like, this movie kind of, like, see, 6 was this weird mix-up transition, right, between, like, still trying to capture the magic of 5 while still introducing some more of the hokey stunts, right? But it still felt like kind of, quote-unquote, down to earth. This movie, they're just full on, like, okay, look, we got... Because Mission Impossible Rogue Nation came out like a few months later after this movie, right? So they were like, okay, look, we got a movie where Tom Cruise is flying across buildings. Like, we got to do better. And, oh my God, like, like, there's jumping the shark, and then there's this. Like, I'm pretty sure I used that on the last one, but, like, I don't care because I feel like it applies even more here. Like, they had less cast members to focus on, so they just went all in on the stunts, and... I don't know, like, did they make this movie stronger? Did it make it weaker? Like, I'm still trying to figure that out.
I think certainly this was my moment where I realized, okay, we've changed. We changed quite a bit.
Yes.
And, hey,
we are no longer the street racing DVD hijacker movies that we were so many years ago.
Not at all. But the one thing I will say is it was still fun, even though it was ridiculous and zany and it's clearly a departure from where we previously were. I mean, obviously we hinted at it a lot in the last film, but I think we solidified it in this one in regards to, hey, these are pretty much superheroes, although there's never going to be any true superpowers aside from maybe invulnerability at this point.
Maybe.
And it's fine. It is what it is. We're starting to get to what I expected of this franchise and why I had written it off in my mind for so long. We're starting to, because I don't think for the longest time we really played into the stereotype of the target audience, but now for some reason we are. After we didn't do that for 5 films, we kind of traversed that in a way where we still got, look, our target audience for the most part is dudes who love cars, and we still got them in seats, but we also had like other filmmaking sensibilities there.
Right.
That, look, we're not saying this is like Coppola or Scorsese, but like they were better than you would think they would be.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, well, why are we taking a step back now? This is the 7th film. Why aren't we digging our heels further into like, some of the more unexpected, but, filmmaking qualities that it kind of had. I'm not trying to, because like this is so hard for me to say because I understand these aren't a crowning achievement of cinema, but I do think that they in the earlier phases deserved a little more credit than they were given.
Yeah.
And so it's tough because now we're just getting into this ridiculous Mission Impossible sickness superhero kind of thing, and it's
Yeah, and
whatever.
it's now infecting your franchise. Look, the only thing that I'll say,
It
and
is.
I don't want to give the parts of that movie too much credit, is I will definitely say that at the very least, when they go for the Gonzacular, like they go for it, because even Mission Impossible, I feel like Mission Impossible is always a little bit too self-serious for its own good. The thing that always gets me through this is just the fact of it's like, wow, they just know how stupid they are. Like they literally even say in the movie multiple times like cars can't fly. But the other thing too that I'll say is, besides the fact that we've gotten to know these characters for so long, right? And so we were kind of familiar with them. And so I feel like it kind of gives us like a little bit of an emotional connection in a way that like we really haven't gotten with some of these other franchises. You know, like we only relate to certain of the Marvel characters that have actually been built up in previous movies. We don't relate to Tom Cruise at all. That's why Mission Impossible doesn't work, because we know at the end of the day Tom Cruise is going to survive. Like
I was
we
just gonna
love
say
these,
that.
like we love these characters so much that at the very least, even when we're watching Vin Diesel and Jason Statham, who at this point are basically invulnerable, bash the shit out of each other. And if you think that it was just Gonzaga, just remember we have one more movie to get through. And I can't say anything else at the risk of spoiling it.
Well, let me just say this then to
Yeah.
your points, because I agree with all of your points.
Yeah.
I think it shows when this franchise started, the early 2000s, we still had that sort of like 90s mentality in regards to filmmaking where every character needed a purpose, right? You had to justify every decision on the screen.
Right.
And so thankfully, even though I'd say it is adapting to the times, we have some of that trickle down thread of core filmmaking that we've lost. And I think
Yes.
that's the only reason why this is different than the Mission Impossible. And I know Mission Impossible was 99. Here's the thing, though. It's not an
96.
ensemble cast. So if you don't care about Tom Cruise, which I never did in Mission Impossible, just like you said, then there's not other people to attach to, right? There's no Letty and Dom story. There's no Brian story. There's nothing
Roman
like
and
that.
Tej.
Yeah, there's nothing like that. And so you have that in this franchise. So it kind of acts as not a buffer, but I would say it acts as like a sedative to the ridiculousness. It kind of offsets it just a little bit. You know what I mean? That's how
a
I
great
see
point.
it, at least.
That's a fantastic point, honestly. Look, the only thing that I'll leave off to say with this before we get to final thoughts is that James Wan came in, had a damn near impossible situation to overcome, and just like he did on that first Saw movie, man, did he make it work. Oh my God. Like, just... I think this, like, after Justin Lin made 4 of, like, the most technically brilliant Fast and Furious movies, right? Changed the game with Tokyo Drift, brought Brian and Dom back with Fast and Furious, and then assembled quite possibly the greatest ensemble caper I've seen since Ocean's 11 with Fast 5, and having that be as visually spectacular, and having that movie be the one with The Rock. This movie doesn't quite top it, but as far as everything else that it accomplishes, as far as kind of introducing us so seamlessly into the areas that it almost felt like Fast and Furious 6 were just, like, nudging into, right? For it being able to seamlessly transition into that, give us a villain that, again, quite frankly, we didn't even think could be stopped. Literally, it's like, okay, we thought The Rock was bad. Now we've literally got the freaking Terminator with Jason Statham. For them to introduce these sorts of over-the-top bombastic stunts, have the film look as good as it does, have the cinematography and the shots and the action be as well made as they are, and have the chemistry between the characters be simultaneously their most over-the-top, but their most over-endearing that they've been yet, and to top it all off, have that beautiful tribute to Paul Walker at the end in a way that doesn't actually feel tacked on, but feels like the perfect finale. This, to me, this is the second best that this franchise has ever been. And I really, honestly, the more I think about everything that's come after that between Fate of the Furious and Hobbs and Shaw and the upcoming F9, I really think that if Fast 5 is the apex, right? Then Furious 7, this movie, is the last whiff of that kind of fame before they kind of like start to devolve further into like, you know, spectacle and just like kind of like really just relying on the tricks and trades of the time, you know?
Interesting. Well, what I can say is, you know, it's hard not to be a human, and thinking about going into our star ratings here, it's hard not to be a human and just feel for Paul and his, you know, not only just his contribution to the franchise and to his, I think, honestly, very underrated performances. Like, I think he's a pretty solid actor after seeing him in so many films, like for especially as an action star. I really think he really was a good action star, and it's hard not to be a human here. But I also want to say that as a critic, I can't let that fully blind me, because I do think this didn't come as close to F5. I'm not necessarily there yet. I want to see them all before I determine my personal apex, but that is in competition right now for the apex so far. And this, even though we hit higher highs, no pun intended, it did not necessarily come as close as
Interesting.
F5 did for me on the meter of sort of like really doing it as an action film in regards to what I look for. And so yeah, I'm just gonna go into my star rating. This is a tough one again because of the Paul situation, but it's still high. It's still a 3.5 for me, but I wanted it to be a 4, especially knowing the unfortunate real world tragedy surrounding this, but I just can't justify it. And that's tough because I really was enjoying this series so far, and I still am, but I can't say I am as much. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, my whole thing with it is this to me, again, you know me, especially with these movies, and you know how close these movies are to my heart, right? But I still think I've been pretty fair as far as my ratings go. I'll admit I got a little bit of emotional with Fast 5. Fast 6 didn't do it for me. It did not do it for me the same way that it did originally, right? And I'll say that I feel like in the ways that Fast 6 did not do it for me, this movie did. While I will say that this was kind of the cutoff point, I'll say, between when these types of action movies started to lose me as far as the over-reliance on the spectacle, right? I think the only reason, even the later Avengers movies, which I still like, that came out like a couple years after this movie, you started to become really guilty of these types of action tropes and cliches. But this, to me, was the last time that I was really endeared to these characters, right? And I think it's the last time that I could really buy into the action before it got kind of too stupid, So this was, for this doing all that, for it being as well made of a film as it is, because I do take circumstances behind the filmmaking into consideration, not just obviously with the death, but how that impacted the filming and how they were able to work their way around that. For all of those reasons, in addition to the Paul situation, I give this 4.5 out of 5 stars. This is my second favorite Fast movie after Fast 5.
Fair enough. It's a tough one to grade, that's for sure.
It is.
But I don't know. You guys let us know what you think. What's your star rating of this Fast and Furious franchise overall? And of course, F7 as we're talking about it here. And of course, please go back and watch the rest of our videos in this series. We are having a blast, man, racing to the finish line of F9.
Yep,
and
almost there, dude.
Yeah, almost there. One more next week. And then, of course, our review of F9 will be up on YouTube that Monday. And it's gonna be a banger.
Indeed.
I already know it. Look, man, we're going to Mars, and it's gonna be wild. And I'm really glad I decided to watch this movie series here. And I hope you guys enjoy all of the videos we've put out about it. Of course, you can find them here on YouTube and a bunch of other stuff, which I'm sure Dom is just itching to tell you about.
Well, I mean, don't tell yourself short out yet. This is still just the penultimate episode. We got one more. We got one more first time watch. And oh man, Chris, you thought your brain was broken this movie. Just wait till the next one. Fate of the Furious next week, people. Wow. And let the Vin Diesel Petty Rock feud begin. Like I said, this franchise truly, even though we're approaching our finish line, this franchise truly does just have no end in sight. At the very least, at least anytime soon. Be sure to stay tuned in 2 weeks for our F9 review. And after that, we've got our overall ranking of every movie in this franchise, which that's going to be a big episode. You guys are not going to want to miss that. We're having some very special guests on. Let
me just say, we're going to put the F in family.
We are indeed going to put the F in family. And no, not the way that Bill Burr did. We're not going to do that. So
thank God, not
with that being said, people, thank you for tuning in to yet another of our Fast and the Furious first time watch. I still can't believe we've done 7 of these. That's insane. That is just insane. We even with the amount of attention that we gave Marvel at the beginning of the year, I still feel like we didn't devote as much time as we did to this franchise. This was impressive. I just wanted to say thank you for coming on this journey and experiencing this journey with me. I just wanted to say thank you, Chris, for that. And I hope
man, likewise. I did not think I'd like these movies as much as I have. Yeah. And I'm really enjoying every second of it. So
it's going to be fun, definitely, to wrap up this journey with you, F9, and then continue on afterwards with 10 and 11, because we've got 2 more movies after this next movie somehow. This franchise truly does never end, people. And you can keep up with all of that and all of the new stuff that we have going on this channel right here if you click the subscribe button, if you click the like button, if you leave a comment below. All of that helps this video get noticed more in the YouTube algorithm, which is, of course, what allows us to give you guys, the people, much more content than we usually do. We've gone back to our old way of doing things, but it's only benefiting us more and more. And you can keep up to all the updates that we have going on with this channel if you follow us on our social media profiles, Facebook and Instagram at Talkin TV Podcast. It's right down there below. Chris, where can the good people find you?
They can also find me all of the places our podcast is available. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the whole 9, at Christian Evanko. Evanko spelled Evanko. I'm a musician, and I make music that I really enjoy, and other people seem to have as well. So if you want to hear that, click the link in my bio or in the description, whatever interface the social media allows you to use. It will be there, easy for you guys to find. As well as I have another podcast called Talkin with Andrew and Chris. Talkin spelled the same way we do it here. It's a show about life, music, and everything in between, and I hope to see you guys there. Dom, what about you? Where can they find you?
At Movie Nerd Reviews on Facebook and Instagram, posting daily content from our channel here, and also racing to the finish line in my new car that I posted a picture of on my own Instagram page.
That's
People,
true.
we got one more of these first-time watches that is going to be up next week, people. Fate of the Furious before we get to the finish line with F9, and then we're only at the halfway point of the year, people. We've got so much more coming for you. Stay tuned to this channel. 12 seasons in a short film. Watch more fucking movies and live your lives a quarter mile at a time. And remember, for Paul, we'll see you guys next time.